After looking at that, we are going to look at types of natural selection. We have three types, or we have three ways by which natural selection occurs. We have three ways by which natural selection does what? Occurs. Therefore, tomorrow they will ask you about types of natural selection. Types of natural selection. Natural selection. We have one we call directional. Directional natural selection. We have another one which we call we have what we call stabilizing natural selection. We have how many types of natural selection? One, we have what we call natural, we have the first one, which we refer to as directional selection or natural selection. We have what we call stabilizing selection or natural selection. And lastly, we have what we call disruptive selection. Disruptive selection. Therefore, those are the three types. Describe different types of natural selection. Now, we are going to start with the directional natural selection. But before I give you the definition, you need to first understand, what does it mean? An example I'm going to use here. An example. Let me assume that we have individuals. Are you seeing what this graph I have drawn? The graph I'm drawing. Here we say we have length of fur. Length of fur. I mean this fur on the skin. Here it is. It can be like 1 centimeter, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Then here is number of individuals with that character. Are you seeing that graph well? Length of fur and the number of individuals. Now I plot this graph like that. We have here in this graph, we have three groups. We have those ones we call intermediates. Intermediates, those ones who are in between the length of 4 to 6, those are intermediates. Then we have those ones who are at extreme end, short. This side is short. Then this side we have long. Therefore, we have three categories here. We have one we can say, which is up to here, 4.5 to 6.5 up to there. These ones we call them intermediates. All together. Then we have these ones, this side, extremes. And these ones, extremes. We have extremes, this side, extremes, intermediates. Now, let me assume I'm going to give you an example. Which example? We are going to use, to understand directional, we are going to use an example of environmental temperature. Here, temperature is going to be our selection temperature is going to be our selection what? Selection pressure. Environmental temperature now is our selection pressure. Now, let me assume now, previously the temperatures were like at 32 degrees Celsius, or between 25 to 32 degrees Celsius. And we have individuals who are many within a population who are intermediates. Then we have those ones who have longer fur. You have seen individuals, human beings with longer fur on their body. But you have seen also individuals who have short fur on their body. Very short. You may even think their skin doesn't have fur or the hair. Now, let us assume now the environmental temperatures were this, isn't it? where these individuals of three categories we are living, those ones with the short, those ones with the long, with the intermediate, medium size, and those ones who have long. Always intermediates are the ones with the few within a population. When you look at a population, intermediates are the one with the few, are always the one with the highest number. When you go in a population like height, you'll find people who are tall are the one with people who are very tall are few, and people who are very short are few. We have intermediates with intermediate height. Now we go back to temperature. Let me say these people were surviving in the environmental temperature of this. Now abruptly, the environmental conditions change from, should we say above or below? Okay, the environmental temperature decreases from 25 to almost 10 degrees Celsius. Assume Uganda, the temperatures now change and it becomes 10 degrees Celsius. The environmental temperature decreases. The other time we are surviving between, like right now, the temperatures of our environment vary between 25 to 38. Room temperature to 32 when it is too hot. And we are all there. There are those individuals who have intermediate height of far. There are those ones who have short, like me. There are those ones who have long, far. Now, we assume that it drops from this range which we have been surviving to 10 degrees Celsius. Which people will be selected for and which people will be selected against in these three categories? I want an answer. Someone to raise the arm and tell us. Okay, tell us.
Those with long far will be selected for, and those with short far will be selected against.
Yes, you know well. Thank you, Okelo. You know well that when the temperatures are very low, you know well that when temperatures are low, we need long far for temperature regulation. It means since temperatures are low, people who are, because it has dropped, people who have long far will be selected for. These people who are intermediates, okay, those people who have short will be selected against. They will die because they can no longer survive in two temperatures, which are cold. What about when the temperatures increase like to 40 degrees Celsius? What will happen? What will happen? Someone to rise up. If the temperatures rise to 40 degrees Celsius, what will happen to the environmental conditions? Yes, Okelo. Yes.
Those far will be selected for, and those far will be selected for, and those with long far will be selected against.
Okay. Okay. Those ones with long far will be selected against. Because
selected against, yeah.
Yes. Those ones with the short far will be selected for. Because remember, it is hot. We need less insulation of the skin. You know, when you have a lot of fur, you have much insulation to reduce heat loss. But now remember, it is hot. You need short fur. Therefore, in that case, that's what will happen. It means this is what will happen. I can draw my graph still here because the other page is finished. We said here we have height of fur. Then here we have number of individuals, and our graph is like that. Here we have short, these are intermediates, then these ones are long. Now, the temperatures we said abruptly have increased to 40 degrees Celsius. Okay, abruptly, the temperatures have increased to 10 degrees Celsius, have decreased to 10 degrees Celsius from the normal range we have been used to, which gave us this shape of a graph. Now it has decreased to 10. It means which individuals will be selected for? let me assume in this case, that here we had 1 centimeter, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This is the in centimeters, length in centimeters. It means if we have length in centimeters, number of individuals, you'll find people with intermediates are the one with the highest. These are intermediates, are the one with the highest number. Those ones with relatively short, not too short, not too long, intermediates are the one with the highest number. But those ones who are short and long have less numbers. But now remember, the temperatures have dropped. What do you expect to the mean? The mean is these people with the highest number of individuals, with the length of far with the highest number of individuals, who are between, our mean is between 4.5 from here, then to 6.5. Those people with the length of that are our mean. They are the ones with the highest population. What will happen to the mean if the temperatures drop to 10 degrees Celsius? Will it shift towards, will it shift to the right or to the left? Who can tell me? Who can reason out that? Will this mean shift to the left or to the right? The left or to the right?
Shift to the right.
It will shift to the right.
So it will shift to the right.
It will shift
Right.
to the right. Why? Why?
It shift to the right because since the temperatures have decreased, they have to develop long hairs in order to
means
increase the population of the skin.
Thanks. It means our graph now, after some years, because this is evolution taking place, after some time, like after like 70 years of temperatures being 10 degrees Celsius, you will find that now you have a graph which has shifted like this. Are you seeing what I've drawn? You'll find whereby you no longer have people of 1 centimeter and 2 centimeters because they were selected against, because the temperatures were cold and for them they had a short far. It means the graph shifts to the other side. Are you seeing? Again, let me say here it is 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. The other time you did not have individuals with length of 10, now they are there. Are you seeing how we are getting a new species of individuals with much fur who were not there? It means we are getting a new species of individuals with fur which is longer than those ones which were there. These ones have gone under extinction from 1 to 2.5. Even our mean has shifted. Our mean previously was, when the temperatures were still normal at the point we were used to, was between 4.5 to 6.5. But check now our mean. Our mean is between 6 and 7. Individuals who have the highest population are those individuals with 6 to 7. Because now the temperatures dropped and now they are being favored. Now it means the graph has shifted to, the mean has shifted from towards the length, towards the individuals with the long fur. Now, I'm going to ask a question here. I'm going to ask a question here. We said, what is our selection pressure? According to this example we have used.
Temperature.
Temperature is our selection pressure. And that temperature, being our selection pressure, it is acting on which individuals? It is favoring who, and it is
It is favoring those with long far, and it's not favoring those with short far.
Yeah, that's why the curve is shifting the other side. Yeah. Therefore, our selection pressure is acting on people with short far. They are being selected against. Therefore, our selection pressure is acting in that direction. Our selection pressure has direction on which it is acting. It is acting in the other direction, pushing, eliminating people who are short with short far, favoring people with long far. Therefore, it is acting in that direction. Therefore, that is what we call directional. Therefore, directional selection involves the selection pressure acting against one extreme. We are acting about one extreme, which was short. In this case, according to our example, we are acting at one extreme. Therefore, under directional selection pressure, it involves the selection pressure acting against one extreme, with the mean population shifting towards the population being favored. Shifting towards the phenotype being favored. Here, the phenotype being favored is long or far, and the phenotype being not favored is short far. It means when we talk about directional selection pressure, under directional selection pressure, this is type of the selection pressure, or this, under directional selection. Therefore, directional selection is the type of natural selection whereby is the type of natural selection whereby the selection pressure acts upon or acts against one extreme, which shifts the mean population towards the direction of the favored phenotype, e.g., the varying length of far. Who has not understood directional selection pressure to ask? Huh?
So, pardon on the definition.
Hello? I'm asking a question. Who has not understood what we refer to as selection pressure? Okay, we proceed. Directional.
So as you question on the definition.
You people, you want to cram. Okay, when we talk about directional selection pressure, it is the type of selection or directional selection. Yes? Yes?
Direction selection. Yes.
We said directional selection. I'm not getting you. Maybe you type your problem. You send me a text on the chat. If you have any problem and you cannot talk, mainly send it so that I see it and resolve it. Because I need to push to complete with what we call natural selection today. So that tomorrow, no, we may not finish it because there are other things. Yes. Someone has sent some message here. The definition of directional natural selection. I've told you when we talk about directional natural selection, if you have understood it, then the definition is easy, because the importance, the most important thing is not all about definition. It's all about understanding. But I can help you in summarizing its definition, that directional selection is the type of selection which involves the selection pressure, is the type of natural selection which involves the selection pressure acting against one extreme, which shifts the mean population in the direction of the favored phenotype, which shifts the mean population in the direction of the favored phenotype. Like in this example, we have talked about, you're seeing on your screen. We can go even on the notes. Are you seeing those notes? Are you seeing what is in your screen on those notes which I sent you?
Yes.
Yeah, we have a graph there which was normal at that point, but you're seeing it is being shifting. That one which has drawn into dotted lines, it means it has shifted. The mean was at 15, but now you may find at this point the new graph is at 25 almost. Therefore, like the graph I have been explaining, I have been drawing, you realize that our mean was between 4.5 to 6.5. But due to the directional selection pressure, which was acting against the short individuals with the short fur, because the temperature has decreased to 10 degrees Celsius, this means that now here Talemwa is asking, where does the 10 centimeters fur come from? Talemwa, I was very clear, unless you did not understand evolution. We said, because you're seeing members with longer fur are the ones being favored for. As years pass, that's why you saw me put 70 years, but that one was even small. As years pass, it means individuals will keep on reproducing. But as the new individuals are being reproduced, their fur goes on, their length in the fur goes on increasing, will go on increasing. After an end of period, like after 200 years, you may find even when we have people with fur length of 15 centimeters, because they are being favored for these individuals who are being who are producing, the new individuals who are being produced will have fur which is longer. It goes on changing, but slowly. It does not just turn into 10 centimeters. It period over a long period of time. Therefore, it goes on changing slowly by slowly. You may not live in one generation to see. For you may not live to see that. But people who will come after will realize it, that we had people who had short fur. As I told you, when you look at an example you can use to understand more, is that example of down, how we explained the existence of. For him, we were saying we had those ones who are long and those ones who are short. But even those ones which were long were not long to the size of these ones we have now. They went on, the long went on reproducing as the future went on increasing slowly. Today they reproduce, tomorrow, after 20 years, the future increases slightly. It goes on increasing slightly. It does not abruptly increase. Talema, are we together? Okay, we continue. Talemo has understood. Hope everyone has understood what we were talking about. Have we understood what directional selection pressure is?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, it means here, under directional selection pressure, there are two things you need to know. There are three factors which drive it. One, if you're to understand it, the first thing you need to know that the selection pressure acts against acts against one extreme. 2, the mean shifts. The mean shifts towards the favored phenotype. Towards the favored phenotype. Lastly, the directional selection, natural selection has direction. That's why even you hear directional, has direction. It has a direction into which it acts. We leave that. We go to what we call stabilizing natural selection. Stabilizing natural selection. Who can tell me where that word stabilizing, from which word do we get that term of stabilizing? Stabilizing comes from the word called stable.
Stable.
Now, this stabilizing natural selection mainly occurs, the first condition mainly occurs when the environmental conditions remain uniform. When the environmental conditions remain uniform for a long period of time. When the environmental conditions remain uniform for a long period of time. All together? Now, in stabilizing, it means this is what you can check here. We can still use far length for easy understanding. We can still use far length for easy understanding. In this case, let me assume the temperatures are between 20 degrees Celsius to 25. That is the average, the normal environmental temperature. And it remains for that for a long period of time. Now, let me assume here it is length of far. Length of far. This side is number of individuals. Individuals. Now, this is my graph. My graph exists like that before selection pressure comes in, before our stabilizing natural selection comes in. Before the length of natural selection. Okay. So meaning the effectiveness of direction depends on how long the selection pressure is occurring. Automatically, it will depend on how long the selection pressure will take place. Now, in that case, according to this stabilizing natural selection, we have said one condition, we should have the environmental condition should remain uniform for a long period of time. Here, it is the extremes, individuals with extreme characters are the ones which are eliminated, are the ones which are unfavored. Like an example, this is the graph I have before selection occurs. Like an example, I have the short up to here. These are intermediates. Then this is long, intermediates, short. Now, the environmental conditions, they remain at 20 degrees Celsius to 25 for a long period of time. When the environmental conditions remain for that long period of time, It means the individuals which individuals will be favored more? The short, the intermediates, the long, when the environmental temperatures remain, or when the environmental factor, the selection pressure remains stable. Which ones will be favored and will be selected to interbreed? Long, intermediates, short. Hands up. Yes, Caroline.
Intermediates.
So when this it means that
Yes.
those are intermediate.
Yeah,
Or be favored.
intermediates. It means who is going to be eliminated? Who is going to be eliminated?
The ones with extreme characteristics.
Extremities are going to be eliminated. It means I'm going to have these individuals after selection, a long period of time after passing, after a given long period of time of natural selection, we shall have a graph like this. We shall have, okay, let me redraw it. We shall have a graph like this after a long period of time. When both the short and the long have been, when the short and the long have been what? Eliminated. Have you understood that? It means during stabilizing natural selection, here, the selection pressure favors the intermediates, and eliminates the extremities. This will only occur when the environmental conditions remain uniform for a long period of time. The most common example is human weight and percentage mortality. Human weight and percentage mortality. This is what I can tell you. That is the most example even which they ask. Percentage weight, percentage mortality and human weight. What do I mean here? When you look at in human birth, on average, babies who are being born will be from like 2 kilograms to almost 5-6 kilograms. Now you will find here babies who are born with less weight, they die. And those ones who are born with much weight also die. People who will survive, the babies who will survive will only be those babies with the weight starting from 3 to 5. Because they're the intermediates, it is the weight which is favored by the environment. Because the environmental conditions are not changing, it means the babies who have low weights will be weak generally. They will die. Those ones who are fat also will not survive at the point of being born. They will also die. It means, are you seeing how the intermediates are the only ones being given chance to survive? Therefore, here the selection pressure favors only intermediates. Favors only intermediates. Favors only intermediates. But this will only act when the environmental conditions remains constant and uniform for a long period of time. When it remains uniform for a long period of time without changing, it means it is only the intermediates who are going to be favored. The extremes will be selected against. I have given you an example which is always examined. It is human weight and percentage mortality. Mortality means death. Babies with very low weight will die. Babies also with very high weight will also die. Only intermediates 4-5 kilograms will survive. Have you understood what it means by stabilizing?
Yes, teacher.
Yeah?
Yes, teacher.
And this stabilizing, among all the three
Yes, sir.
types, among all the three types, it is the one which leads to the least evolution rate. Mainly, it does not lead to evolution. Do you know who can tell me why we say does not lead to evolution, or why it least leads to evolution? Who can tell me? Yes, Okelo.
Yes, this one doesn't lead to evolution because if the factors are constant,
I'm not
there's no
getting.
need for the organisms to. I'm saying it doesn't lead to evolution because if the selection pressure is constant, then there is no need for the organisms to evolve.
Yes, to
There's no
change.
need for them to gain new characteristics.
Yeah, and
Mm.
when they don't get new characteristics, it means they cannot, no new species will be formed because the environmental conditions are a constant. The environmental conditions are constant. And if the environmental conditions are not constant, it means those individuals will remain the same. They are favored. They're not the same. We shall not have introduction like how Talema was asking, how did the 10 the individuals with the 10 centimeters of fur are the ones who evolved. But now here, we are not having any length being evolving or coming up. We are just maintaining those ones, favoring those ones who are already there. It means the species will remain of the same kind. Therefore, they know how they always ask that. Which type of natural selection has least effect on evolution? It is what? Stabilizing natural selection. Why? Because this one is due to the environmental conditions remaining unfavorable, which favors the intermediates. Therefore, no rising or no rise of new characteristics within the population. Any other question? We continue as there people are typing. Now, next, we go on disruptive. In a disruptive selection, in a disruptive,